Alright, we are live with some Modern Ruby Storm. This was the deck that I picked up several weeks back. Haven't been able to play it as much as I wanted, but due to some work and moving stuff going on. As you can see, we're still in the original digs with some technical issues with the new apartment, so we haven't been able to take possession of it yet. So here we are, streaming in the old place for at least one more week. To be honest, Ruby Storm is kind of a happy medium. It is a deck that plays a lot of the mana base and such that Prowess and Burn both play with the red fetch lands, and then depending on what flavor of Storm you're playing, similar surveil lands and dual lands. So in that part, it already kind of fit into what we had going on with the collection. While I don't have much experience with Storm, I do have some experience with combo in general. A lot of my combo experience came in the form of Ad Nauseam combo in Modern many years ago. When I was first getting into Modern, I think even before I started playing Burn and Paper, I played Ad Nauseam combo in MTGO, but usually based off of the work of a person that played the deck religiously called Sneaky Pete. And that deck was based around the combination of either Angel's Grace and Phyrexian Unlife, and then trying to find a copy of Ad Nauseam, drawing your entire deck, and then lightning storming your opponent's death by pitching 3 Simian Spirit Guides, Lightning Storm, and a bunch of lands because you drew your deck. This deck, obviously a little bit different. It's more akin to the old Izzet Storm decks of Modern that had Baral and the Goblin Electromancer, and then obviously decks like Ad Nauseam Tendrils or Ruby Storm in Legacy. The decks really came into resurgence in MH3 with the printing of Ral Monsoon Mage and Ruby Medallion as cost reducers, and then a lot of the rest of the deck had already existed in the format. Pyretic Ritual, Desperate Ritual, Manamorphose, kind of being your mana accelerators, especially when you have a cost reducer, and then Ren's Resolve, Reckless Impulse, and a lot of the versions were playing Glimpse of the Unthinkable. And this version is based off, well, it's not based off of, it is the work of Bryant Cook from the Epic Storm, based off of his sideboard guide and the deck he'd play for Izzet varieties. He has 4 varieties. I think he has Boros, Temur, Izzet, and Gruul. Main differences between the versions are the Boros version running Silence and Static Prison, this version running Into the Floodmaw and Flame of Anor, the Gruul version running Veil of Summer as your protection spell, and then the Temur version running a combination of Into the Floodmaw, Flame of Anor, and Veil of Summer, with a lot of the sideboard options being the same that we'll cover here in a minute. The rest of the deck, Flame of Anor is our extra draw spell, as well as a way to answer permanent-based hate cards, whether they be a creature or an artifact. Also can draw cards in matchups where that's not as relevant. Valakut Awakening is a way to get some redraws and additional 19th and 20th lands in a pinch. Past in Flames allows you to flash back most of the stuff in your graveyard. And then, obviously, the cost reducers we talked about, Ral Monsoon Mage, is a 1/3 creature. Every time you play an instant or sorcery, you flip a coin. If you lose the flip, you take a point of damage. If you win the flip, you can exile Ral. And then if you play, I believe it's 6 instants or sorceries in a turn, and then you flip Rao, you can instantly ultimate him, and then exile the top 8 cards of your library, cast any instants or sorceries for free. And then Ruby Medallion, being an artifact, is a little bit more difficult to interact with as far as cost reducers over something like Brawl or Goblin Electromancer. And then finally, Wish ties it all together. This allows you to play cards you own from outside the game, so i.e. your sideboard, which we will talk about now. These 7 cards are really the only ones you board in this variant. Into the Flood Maw is basically a lot of your non-counterspell matchups. You're bringing this in to help answer permanent hate-based cards, along with Flame of Nor. Pact of Negation is your anti-counterspell tech, besides just brute forcing your way through counterspells. The rest of the sideboard, Gigantha, obviously a nice card to have in some spots. Thassa's Oracle, primarily here as your way to win through the One Ring. Grape Shot is your main kill condition, storming to 20 or 19 or 18 or whatever your opponent's life total is, and then just Grape Shotting them. Galvanic Relay is a way, if you're running out of steam, to potentially refuel for the next turn, try to go off again. Blood Moon, sometimes if you're a red deck, you just need to get your opponent occasionally, and having access to this can win you some games out of nowhere. Empty the Warrens, sometimes you can only storm off for 4, 5, or 6, and then you can put a bunch of Gobos into play, hope to win over a turn or two. Mind Collapse is a free way to kill things like Draenith Magistrate. So if you're a little bit stuck on mana, it's one way to deal with some permanent based hate. Then the 4th copy of Past in Flames, just to flashback things. Nice to have in case your opponent has an extraction effect or anything like that. So that is the deck. I will be referencing a sideboard guide. I will not be showing it out of respect to Bryant Cook and all the work he does, but if you follow along long enough, you'll see there's a very common pattern in the blue matchups, the non-blue matchups. So that said, let's get into some matches. And I've only played, I think, 10 matches with this deck so far. First league I went 4-1. The second league I went 2-3. I think I played a little bit better, ironically, in the first league than I did the second one. But, gotta live and learn. But as far as the format, Boros and Mardu Energy are just like almost 35-40% of the meta right now. Murktide comes in at 10%, and then you start seeing some combo decks: Ruby Storm, Mono Blue Belcher, and Mono Green Basking Root Walla. Is it Basking Root Walla? Basking Broodschale, which is another combo / One Ring Eldrazi deck. And you have Amulet Titan and Is It Grinding Station, and then you start getting into like the Eldrazi Tron, Groyos, more Eldrazi Ramp, Just Got Control, Domain Zoo. So the format's really pretty much devolved into the One Ring dot energy, and many people do expect there to be some bans and bans coming up for Modern. I think at the very least, the One Ring is, I think, what most people expect to get the axe. You could also see something out of Energy get the hit. I'm not sure which way they would go to try to hit it. If they want to try to leave the Energy package intact, they could potentially hit a Johnny. If they wanted to take away the deck's like kind of mid-range game plan, hitting both Flage and the One Ring would do a pretty good job of knocking the deck down a peg or two. I don't know, and I don't presume to know what Wizards' plans are for that. I don't think Storm's in any danger of taking a hit. It is a deck that can kill on turn 2, mostly kills on turn 3. But number 1, it has a fail rate. Number 2, it can be beaten without fairly hard sideboard plans, and is vulnerable to something like Dimir Murktide, which is one of the top 3-4 decks in the format right now. And is also vulnerable to other combo decks like Mono Blue Belcher with all its counter spells. And it's a deck that got hated out at Pro Tour Nadu very badly. I think it was like, I want to say it was like 10 or 12% of the day one meta, and just had like a terrible win percentage. it is a deck very much that if you want to beat it, you can. There's a number of things to attack it. It is vulnerable to Graveyard Hate. It is vulnerable to cards like Drannith Magistrate. It is vulnerable to things like Deafening Silence, things like Orm's Chant, etc. And as I mentioned before, the deck does have, somewhat of a fail rate. Sometimes you can run out of gas. I mean, the deck does see a lot of cards between Surveillance, Reckless Impulse, Reckless Impulse, Ren's Resolve, Flame of North / Glimpse the Unthinkable, as well as cards like Valakut Awakening. One of the newer tech I didn't really talk much about. Artist Talent. This is mainly left in against the blue decks just to increase your density of 2 mana cost reducers and such, although the cost reducer is really kind of a bit of a misnomer with this, because you have to sink in another 2 or 3 additional mana for that to happen. It's an enchantment, class enchantment, level 1, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do draw a card, it's a great way to loot through some lands sometimes. Level 2, non-creature spells you cost 1 less. So you're getting an additional cost reducer akin to both Ral and Ruby Medallion. And then level 3, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or permanent, opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2. I mean, theoretically, that can be relevant with Grape Shot. It means you would only need to Storm Tour towards 6 or 7. What's up, BCM Raider? How you doing? How's your channel doing? BCM Raider is a real-life friend. I think it's safe to call you a friend there. A friend / acquaintance through my brother that I sometimes play Commander with. He's a pretty cool dude. If you like Commander content, check out his channel. He does deck techs and cards of the day and combos and stuff. So a little bit more IRL stuff than what I do here on the channel, but so hopefully this queue will pop soon and we can get into some matches. The one thing I dislike about the friendly leagues is sometimes the queues can take a lot longer. So nice. I mean, YouTube can be a very cranky mistress sometimes. So, hey, no problem. There's not much to know. It's just, as someone put it once, it's the Excel for Magic. It's a very basic program that allows you to play pretty much any format you want at the cost of buying another round of cards. You have everything from some variants of Commander to Legacy to Vintage to Modern to Pioneer. Standard's still on the format, although Arena tends to take more of that share of things. Pauper. Basically any format you want is available on here. It's just I will certainly try. I've been really struggling to even keep up with anything with the move coming up here and the holidays, so. Alright, taking a look at this opening hand. We have a cost reducer. We have a couple of, we have several rituals and the Ren's Resolve. The biggest risk with this hand is running out of gas off the Ren's Resolve. So Yeah, the queue for the friendly leagues are a little bit longer. But I don't like dumping $10 per league, so is what it is. I'm guessing Merfolk. Yep, Merfolk. Fantastic. This will be a tricky one. So, thanks, man. You too. Alright. Definitely gonna put that in the yard. I think we risk. They have force of negation. This is just going to get eaten, so we have to pass. Next turn, we should largely be able to go off. Opponent could easily have the Tide Shaper's annoying, but kind of whatever. So, Paratic Ritual. Ren's Resolve. Mountain. Metamorphose. Reckless Impulse. We found a Ral, so that should be a wrap. Paratic Ritual. Past in Flames. If they force a negation in this, we could be in trouble. They do not. So, Reckless Impulse. Wish I could say this particular part of the game was fun, but it's really just kind of, we'll play Ral. They could have Subtlety, which is kind of whatever. Tails. On the flip, yes. Do the thing. Go ahead and ultimate it. We have not yet found a copy of Wish. There's another Piff, which is whatever. No, this is just Storm. The Nexus Red channel is where all the burn content is. This is just basically your equivalent of a Spellslinger combo deck and Commander. Desperate Ritual. Runs Resolve. We just need to find a copy of Wish, and then the game is over. So, Paratic Ritual, Metamorphose, red, Metamorphose, red. All right, so. Play Wish. Grab Grape Shot, target them. And then yeah, basically, with some upgraded tools. It got Ruby Medallion that used to be available in Legacy, and then it got Rao. The Leyline Prodigy / so opponent made us click through all this. It's not like they're going to get us on time. It's one annoying thing somewhat about Magic Online is there's a chess timer for both players, so you can lose to timing yourself out, even if you've won game 1 and are ahead game 2. Alright, so Merfolk is on the sideboard guide. 2 Flame of Anor, 1 Piff, 1 Wish out, 4 Pack of Negation in. 1 Piff, 1 Wish, 2 Flame, 4 Pack of Negation. Yeah, you can win. This list mainly wins through either Grape Shot or Thassa's Oracle, and then has the alternative plan of empty the Warrens if necessary. Thassa's Oracle is your main way to win through the 1 ring protection. Can't keep the 0 lander, obviously. I think we risk this hand, but it is obviously risky with a 1 lander. I think we put back a Pyretic Ritual. There is, but you still have to click OK for each round, so it's kind of annoying in that regard. Alright, so we found the cost reducer. We just need to find another land. Yeah, empty the Warrens. Opponent notably did not have Ether Vial this turn, so Tide Shaper. So they kept a 1 lander and a Tide Shaper, so that tells me they probably have fun. Yeah, I guess we keep that. Yeah, we'll keep a fetch land here. That's a weird... I was going to say, if they didn't have a second land, that's kind of a weird hand for them to keep, which tells me they probably have Force of Negation. Yeah, they do have a automated thing, but I think they're trying to hold up counter spells here, so I think next turn, yeah, Voldaren Hexcatcher doesn't surprise me at all here. So I think we're just going to jam, we're going to play the fetch land and jam Artist Talent. If they want to do anything, I'm fine with that. No problem, we'll do when I get a chance. This game's getting tougher and tougher to win here. Harbinger of the Seas. Sure. Okay. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just go ahead and jam this. Here we want to discard, so six, 7. Sure. It's 10. time for Ether Vial, I suppose. Pretty sure we're dead here, because they can choke us on the mana. Just sacrifice 3 creatures and we lose. Yes. Pitching, sink into stupor. Okay. Opponent's got to decide. I mean, and that's targeting that. Okay. Okay. Yes. Go ahead and get rid of the Ruby Medallion here, probably. Opponent screwing up there. Okay, can we draw a basic mountain here? Close, but no cigar here. Alright, just click submit. Any of what we made did matter. If we would have drawn basic mountain, I still think we would have had a chance even through all of our opponent's stuff. This hand just needs too much. We have like all the mana in the world in protection. We have no cost reducer and no payoff, plus we need, or no cost reducer, no card draw, and need another land. So this hand is very similar problem. I guess we're going to 5. This hand is not great. We do keep it, putting back Piff and Wish, I think. So sure. land off of the Surveil. The graveyard. That's not what we were looking for, so we're probably dead. Just too low of resources to work with. This is what I meant by sometimes the deck just kind of folds to itself. So Merfolk playing Harbinger Tides. Are they playing Spell Snare lately? Let's just get the basic mountain and jam. Well, they could vial in something and then Flare of Denial, but we're not being that anyway, so. They could have Subtlety, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, they violin nothing. Silver Guild up, draw a card. Go after our basic mountain, sure. Alright, so if they fight over this with a force of negation, do we even try? Obviously, if they have Harbinger, they just get us, and there's nothing we can do. Which would be the reason to go after the basic mountain, I suppose. They kept Violon too, so That gets to hit us for 6. Oh, this is going to be kind of tough to win through. All right. Basic mountain. Runs resolve. sure we're just dead here. Yeah, we're actually just dead on board. 10. Alright, moving on. Game history. I do believe this is our death and taxes friend. Yep, that's our death and taxes friend. So not sure what exactly their plan involves against us. He plays, or they play, a lot of instant speed stuff like Solitude, Ephemerate, etc. I know they run a lot of land destruction, a lot of creature protection, so I could imagine Draenei Magistrate being in their board. Etc. We've played them quite a few times on these Sunday night streams. So hopefully they get here soon, but their deck won't have the fastest clock, but it does have plenty of just random disruption. Usually Felia has Recruiter of the Guard, the new knight that comes in and basically ghost quarters things, etc. So they have plenty of tools. It's just a question of how is their sideboard set up for control not for control matchups, for combo matchups. So guess I should see if there are any recent finishes with Death and Taxes. Exuberant Shepherd. Mono White Stoneblade. This looks very similar to what their list does. So they'll have some. So our opponent has been playing something similar to this, maybe without the Urza Saga, but usually they have White Orchid Phantom in the main deck, but they're a Recruiter of the Guard deck along with Felia to kind of abuse it, and then they just get to have random different hate cards. Lion Sash in the main deck. The rest of these aren't terribly. I mean, Solitude can be relevant. The sideboard, Sanctifier and back, obviously kind of annoying. Cage and Soul Guide Lantern, Damping Sphere. You could also potentially see something like what's the Sphere? Not 1 mana. Can't play more than 1 spell a turn unless it's a creature. So, kind of hard to say. Just making sure we are not disconnected. Don't know how long in leagues you have to, just getting into the wire probably. This hand is a little suspect. Good lunch, have fries. Yep. We'll try this one. His hand is a little bit slower than I typically like in this style of matchup, but here comes D&T, here comes D&T, right down D&T lane. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Play your Ophelia and your Ghost Quarter. He and I have some banter because he has been at points a burn player, but like the last like 7 or 8 times I think I've played them, they've been on this D&T build. So hence why when he passes with 2 mana, I know it's a Ophelia. So. Lion Sash. A little bit annoying, but kind of whatever too. Okay, so they exile the Lion Sash? That's interesting. We can't... It's kind of hard to risk just going off here. So I suppose I can start by casting Ren's Resolve. Hit a Wish. I think that just doesn't really do enough. Flicker Wisp, sure. Gets to flicker out. I don't know that that does a lot, but sure. I'll flicker out another land, I assume. That's annoying as crap. Alrighty then. Play out a Ral. know what they have that could take 4 mana unless they're planning on lion sashing things. Sure. Oh, they're gonna force me to chunk with Ral. And we're just dead through disruption. Okay, fantastic. Bring these in, bring these artist talents and a copy of, I believe, Wish out. And hope that's good enough. Yes, I'd like to play first. I will reveal Gigantha. This hand just doesn't do enough without a second land. This hand's a bit risky, but we'll try it. What am I putting back here? I guess we put back a ritual. Looking for a third land. I don't think currently that's the best draw. Turn on, yeah, whatever. Next turn we could risk trying to go off. Oh, for frick's sake. Okay, sure. And pass. Crew of the Guard, grabbing what? Even Interrupter, fantastic. That Past in Flames now. Gotta be careful with Wish because we only have one more Wish in our deck to actually win the game with. Of course, that being said, we don't have much of a chance, but yep. Deals Deals 5 damage to target creature. Gotta deal with that first. I assume they use Aven Interrupter here. Gets to hit us for 5. Flicker Wisp. Do they flicker out here? Cast, destroy target artifact. Presumably grab Solitude here. Yeah. Six mana. Reckless Impulse. Let's see what we can have left in our deck to grab. We have 2 Past in Flames, 1 Wish. So, Reckless Impulse. And looks like we bricked. Whole lot of hand waving for a whole lot of nothing. Drew a bunch of lands and can bounce this, but we're still dead to the 3 power. So unfortunately, sometimes this is what Storm does. Macho Big Papo. So what does this hand do? I think we... On the draw, we'll try this hand. It's a little slow, and we're missing a cost reducer, but we do have Ren's Resolve and Valakut Awakening potentially to find it. So, and it looks like we might be up against good old-fashioned Murktide. Blue-black Surveilland. Yep. Push, fatal push, does whatever a fatal push does. Alright. Alright, definitely keeping that. Runs Resolve. Presume this is just going to eat a random spell snare or counter spell. See if they get another Surveil in. Yeah. If they get Swamp here into Harbinger, we're in a lot of trouble. Sure. They have a third Surveilland? No. No Thought Scour or anything like that either. Like I said, the biggest concern would be is if they play Harbinger of the Seas. Froggy DA. Which one of these three do we care about the least? Ren's Resolve. Feels like this is going to need a fatal push. They're probably considering if they need to fatal push this in response. Tails. Lost the flip. We take 1 damage. Ren's Resolve. So we get to hit our next 2 land drops, which isn't terrible. The fetches goes to 16. See if they pitch anything to Froggy G here. They do not. Okay. Do they increase their pressure? They do not do that either. Bowmasters is certainly a card that should probably be on my radar here. Play this out first. "12 minutes of tanking, 'cause I have counter spells in my deck." Get to use all of our mana this turn. Opponent doesn't get to counter anything. Now they could sink into stupor this, which would be annoying, but looks like they're working on. Yep, auto wire, sure. Yep. I think this is the turn they turn up. Nope, just Tamiya. We have to go for they have another counter spell. That would be mildly unfortunate. Hard to be triple counter spell. And they could flip Tamiya and rebuy a counterspell. Which is certainly what I would do in their position. Which card? Yep, makes sense. Draws a card, cracks the clue, flips the Tamiya, gets back a counter spell. Or just, I guess, cast Preordain. Sure. They tick up. All right. So I think our move is to get the pressure off the table. And I think we make the move during their upkeep. Or if they if they crack this clue here at EOT. Alright, let's stop during their upkeep. Okay. Get your pressure off the board. I guess I can't immediately pick up a counter spell. Sure. So I think we'll start with Metamorphose. See if this draws out the counterspell. I doubt it, but or they could have Bowmasters here. That in the graveyard. Fortunately, we don't have enough mana to do what I'd like after this, which would be to ritual into Wish Bloodman. Yeah, Psyche Frog here's bad. Alright, let's start with a Reckless Impulse. See what we hit. This will stop our turn if they go after it. Sure. It's really hard to brute force your way, through this many counter spells. I guess the only nice thing is my opponent's wasting so much time that they might time themselves out the way they're playing. So, gotta love tempo players. They like to take 24-58 of their 25 allotted minutes. Sure. So their hand was basically nothing. with 2 cards in hand, we can... Well, they'd have 3, so we're just dead next turn, so we have to go for it here. Ritual. Ritual. Reckless Impulse. Counterspell number 4. 2, 3, yeah, all 4 counterspells. What do I have enough to do here? So, Ritual puts me up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think 1 mana short of Piff. Desperate Ritual up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wishes 3 puts us down to 5. So I can go Wish, Grape Shot, which would be 6, which means we can kill the Psychic Frog if they don't have a counterspell. Not exactly what I want to do this turn, but keeps us alive. Grape Shot. Targeting Frog. Same target. Same target. Same target. Target. No target. Alright, pass turn. If we had 1 more mana, we could have continued the chain. Bowmasters here. Annoying, but not the end of the world, I suppose. Fortunately, if they buy back a counterspell, then yep. Hard to win when your opponent casts 7 counterspells in a game. We already know what's going to happen, but we got to make him do it. Guess at some point we could have bought Gigantha and played it, but so against them. Against Dimir Frog. 2 Flame of Anor, 1 Piff, 1 Wish out. And 4 Pact Negation in. for all graveyard trespassers, becoming more and more frequent in these lists. So out of the sideboard, we have to deal with Consign to Memory, Thought Seizes, Harbingers, Mystical Disputes. So, number of different stuff they could bring in. One of Undercity Informer in some of these lists. That's hilarious. Undercity Informer mill out the Goblin Charbelcher decks. We'll try it. Land go. Opponent's wasting seconds on turns that literally don't matter. Okay. I think we'll put that in the yard. Just gonna jam a basic mountain and jam one of our whatchamacallits here. If they want to use it, take the opportunity to spell snare it, that's whatever. I do find it kind of funny how many times I'll play a deck and then like run into a bunch of the deck's bad matchups when I'm learning the deck. Whether it be this, whether it be like random things on Arena, etc. So just gonna go ahead and jam this. Literally don't care if this gets countered. Sure, get punished for not playing the land. So far we've seen 4 counter spells out of them. Some of them are spell snares, some of them are spell pierces. Does not seem like the optimal situation for us, but opponent once again being very deliberate, or double queuing, who knows. Come on. Come on, stop doing the circle of stupid here. Alright, so we're just going to play Thundering Falls here. I'm going to put that in the yard and pass. Let's go pause for 45 seconds on my end step, doing absolutely nothing. Maybe they'll decide to play a Bowmaster. Maybe. Cling to Dust, sure. Sure. Discard a Psychic Frog. Very interesting play. Sure. Sure. Yeah. I think we just plan on Valakut Awakening here. Murktide or a Bornoculus? Minutes of tanking. Start. Alright, so what am I putting on the bottom? Wish. That's it. Alright. Ruby Medallion. Curious if they counterspell the Pact of Negation or do they counterspell the Ruby Medallion. Opponent should have chosen to counterspell the Ruby Medallion again rather than counterspell the Pact of Negation. because that means we would have lost the game. Looks like one of their follow-up cards is a second Murktide Regent. Possibly a Born Oculus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They would need one more, I believe, because I think a Born Oculus is 6 cards. So if they pop the Spell Bomb, then they could do the thing. Alright, well... Tails. He lost the flip. Red. Red. Artist talent. Okay, that's a very interesting time to pop the Spell Bomb. Tails. On the flip. No. Pitch a land. Tails. On the flip. No. Metamorphose. So we'll tap for each sin sorcery. I think we still need to spike one more spell. And if we crack that fetch, we're just dead. I think we're just dead to another 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're just dead to Oculus or Murktide region here. Well, our opponent taking almost double the game actions, I guess, paid off for him, so. Yeah, I mean, I think you saw some of the weaknesses of this deck. Sometimes it fizzles to itself. Sometimes you run into a bunch of counterspell decks and have trouble navigating Merfolk and Murktide. And then sometimes permanent-based hate and a little bit of fizzling just gets you. So, and our opponent, our D&T opponent, played very well game one to just disrupt us enough to keep us from doing what we needed to do to win. So, see some of the positives, see some of the negatives of this deck. We got to storm off game 1 against Merfolk, and then pretty much since then it's been a bit of a rough go there. So I don't think we won a game since the first one. Nope. We got to storm off and then try and navigate through some counter spells. So, anyways, if you like modern content, especially for now of the Storm variety, please consider subscribing to the channel or giving us a follow over on Twitch. And hope to see you for our next